Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is Andrew the Moo, and here I am with King's Quest I, the Quest for the Crown. Now, earlier I was discussing with an individual, I believe it was Icelandic Banks, about me playing this game, and he goes, "Oh, King's Quest, you mean like the game that came out recently for the PC and the episodes?" Like, well, not quite. You may remember back in December, I made a tweet about what games I wanted to play, kind of towards the beginning of the year. And I said one of the games I was going to play was King's Quest I, and this is it. It's the Quest for the Crown, made in 1990. I was 6 years old when this game came out, but let's go ahead and get into the introduction. That way we can see what's going on in this game. Look at the storyline. And we are going to be playing as the hero, and he's the hero in a lot of the games for the King's Quest series, King Graham. We are the bravest and most honorable knight in the troubled realm of Daventry. King Edward the Benevolent, aged ruler of Daventry, has summoned you to the castle for unknown reasons. And we need to have more of a storyteller voice there. Greetings, Sir Graham. The king is expecting you. Allow me to escort you to his majesty's throne room. Thank you, Sir Knight. And we come up to the portcullis, and he says, "Raise the portcullis." And the sliding door goes up, and we enter into the castle. And we notice King Graham's style of clothing, and that hat is going to be very familiar to us. But let's go ahead and walk up to King Edward and kneel, and "I'm at your service, my king." Now we need a kingly voice. "I am an old man, Sir Graham, perhaps too old to carry the weight of this crown." And I'm talking way too fast for this old guy, I guess. "My bones ache, my hands tremble. I'm afraid my time on earth grows short. But enough about me. Let's talk about you. Great misfortunes have befallen Daventry since the loss, years ago, of 3 magical treasures. I have chosen you, the finest knight in all of Daventry, to search for these lost treasures. Only then can this kingdom be restored to its former glory." Yeah, we're taking part in the rule of 3, guys. "And only then may I rest with the knowledge that my people are safe. The first treasure is a magic mirror that foretells the future, but it couldn't tell that it was going to be stolen soon. The second is a magical shield that protects the bearer from all mortal harm, but no one grabbed it when someone tried to steal it, to fight off whoever was trying to take them. The third and last is an enchanted chest that is forever filled with gold. You, King Graham, can make it rain for all eternity. I know that what I ask is difficult, nay, perhaps impossible. The dangers are many. But you are brave and pure of heart. That is why I chose you to volunteer." I don't think you know what that word volunteer means. "If you succeed, you will inherit my crown and will rule the realm of Daventry as her rightful king. Go, Sir Graham, and know that the fate of Daventry lies in your hands. Take heart, my king. I shall not fail you." And with that, King Graham leaves the room, and we're going to be heading back to the title screen. So this is our task here in King's Quest I, and we're going to go ahead and begin the game. And here we come, out the door. Now, the controls of this game are very simple, actually. You want to go down? Press down. To stop, tap down. Same with left, right, up, and down. And you notice, in the water, there are some sea dragons, right? I'm going to move that out of the way. I'm going to try my best to use the keyboard to save. And you see where I have already played through the game some just to kind of get an idea of what I'm doing. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to go over dragon food and we're going to record over it. That way when we die, we come back here. And there are a number of things you can do in this game if you aren't careful. For instance, if I were to tap down and not stop, we would have fallen into the water. And King Graham, can he swim? Can he swim? No, not when you got sea dragons or sea serpents in your moat. Because of the fact that after a few moments, oh look, it's got King Graham's hat. Maybe it'll come up with King Graham in just a moment. And I keep calling him King Graham. He's Sir Graham. He's not King Graham yet. The moat monsters appreciate your good taste. Not only do you die, but you die with puns. So let's go ahead and restore this game, and I keep saying, I'm going to keep the mouse out of the way, but I keep trying to bring up the mouse, I'm sorry. But what you do in order to do commands in this game is you type out what you want to do, like we're going to look. You are standing outside King Edward's castle, which is surrounded by a serpent-filled moat. And even notice there's the reflection of King Graham in the water. This was pretty good by 1990 standards, if you ask my opinion at the least. But one of the reasons why I wanted to play this game is I've wanted to play the King's Quest series for such a long time. This is a game that I have fond memories of growing up, and I'll let you know a little bit more about those here shortly. But one of the things that I really like about this game is the fact that when I was a child, I remember one year this game was so well liked by my family as I saved this game, and there's a reason why I'm saving it. I'll explain in just a moment. That we would, for my birthday, my parents bought me all of the King's Quest games in one huge bundle, and it's something that I've treasured to this day. Now, there's one thing we need to keep in mind is, yes, I'm going to be showing you how to do things, but I'm also going to show you how to do things wrong. Like, you can do the right things, but if you do it in the wrong way, you end up dying. Like, right here, we're going to want to take this rock, and we're going to roll rock. But if we're standing right on this side of it, guess what happens? We roll the rock, and it goes downhill. The moving rock rolls downhill and right into you. A crushing defeat. And I've got to remember, I'm not using the mouse here. But we restore the game, and then we walk over this way, and what happens? We want to roll the rock. And with a small shove, you manage to push the rock a few feet, revealing a shallow hole underneath. Alright, so let's look in the hole. There is an intricately carved dagger in the hole. Okay, so that's what we're dealing with at the moment, and we're going to take the dagger. You reach into the hole and grasp the dagger, being careful not to cut yourself. But the first time I ever played any King's Quest games was, again, I was small. You know, this one came out in 1990, and really and truly, these games came out before 1990. This is really and truly, if you will, a remaster of the first game. And if I remember right, we first played this. Dad got bought a disc of like shareware games and things of that nature, and I think this may have been part of it. At least one of them was a part of it. And from there, or no, maybe it was just he bought like a DVD or a CD set that had a number of different games, and some of the King's Quest games were part of it. But anyway, we as a family played all of them together, and so I've really liked the game because of that. Now, one of the things that you can do when you get to an area, if you don't know what to do, you can, as I said, type look. And sometimes it will help you realize what you need to do. This is a serene mountain lake with a small beach of pebbles on its edge. And so this kind of gives us an idea of one of the things that we're going to want to take. There are pebbles here, so let's go and take the pebbles. You grab a handful of pebbles. We're now at score 8 of 158. Now, I don't know if we're going to get the full score here of 158, but we're going to try to do what we can. You know, I can't make any promises, but we'll see what we can do. Now, one of the things that I want to go ahead and mention about King's Quest while we're playing this game is, at times the King's Quest game is cheap. There is an enormous oak tree growing here, its branches reaching up to the sky. What I mean is, King's Quest games are known for being notorious about being cheap. Finding plenty of footholds in the coarse bark of the tree, you easily clamber up the trunk to the branches above. That is, if you're not careful, you can find yourself in a dead end and there's no way you can actually progress further into the game. One of the games that I tried to replay not long ago was actually King's Quest. I believe it was King's Quest 6. And you know, while I'm talking about this, I'm going to go ahead and save this. And I'm going to save this as, blah, 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 blah. How about we just save it as a golden walnut? It's not the golden walnut here, but this will be good. King's Quest 6, and I found myself in an area, and I thought I was going in the right direction, making progress, and I got myself in an area that the only way that you can get out of it is by defeating the enemy that you need to defeat and making it through that area with no other way of escape. And because of the fact if you don't have the proper items there, you're going to die. Well, guess what? I didn't have the proper items. I couldn't progress any further. I would have to restart the game because I didn't save enough. So one thing I would say to you is if you play a King's Quest games, don't just save off and have a number of different save files at different places just in case. Now that we've gathered the golden egg, and I forgot to read about that just then, we grabbed a golden egg from the tree. There's two ways we can get out of the tree. One, we can either climb down or we can Aw, splat. But don't worry, it doesn't kill King Graham, thankfully. Thankfully, King Graham continues to survive, despite what just happened to him. Now, if I remember correctly, the area that we're going to want to go to is actually, I think it's this way. And you may be wondering, well, what about that door right there? What significance does that door hold to the game at this very moment? And I'm going to be honest with you, it really doesn't hold that much of a significance to us at the moment. But it will soon enough. And we'll take a look at it then. Now in this area we see that there is something on the ground, and let's try to look at the ground and see what comes up. There are some walnuts nearby under the walnut tree, so we're going to want to take a walnut. Now, you choose a big meaty looking walnut from the bunch scattered around. Now, one of the other things about King's Quest games is they're going to have you do things that you go, alright, I want to do this, and then you realize, wait a minute, why did I do this? Or, you know, what do I need to do next? And it may be something you don't think that you need to do. Well, open walnut. When you open the walnut, you discover the nut inside is pure gold. How would you know to do that regularly? So we're going to save golden walnut right here. That way, if something happens, and yes, we are entering into some areas where some random enemies are going to appear and possibly kill us. So I have done what I've done just in case. Now, when you come to this item right here, you want to try to look at the ground if you don't know what you're looking at. There appears to be some sort of bowl on the ground. And so we're going to take the bowl because it's just out there in the woods, and possession is 9/10 of the law. So we are now in possession of this. Another thing that you can do is you can look at the item that you're carrying, like we're looking at the bowl. Inscribed on the inside of this empty ceramic bowl is the word fill. And look, that cardinal is frozen in place. Now, another thing that you can do is say, you know, it says fill on the inside. Let's try fill and see what happens. To your astonishment, something begins to bubble up from the bottom of the bowl. Within moments, the bowl is filled with a hot, savory stew. All right, so we have hot, savory stew within the confines of this bowl. And so what we want to do now is we're going to go down and then up, and wandering along the banks of the beautiful lake, you see a cute little elf. All right, and so what do we do when we see elves? He's not black-skinned. Wow, that just sounded really racist. I didn't mean to. He's not a drow elf is what I'm trying to say, people. I'm not trying to say because he's black. Anyway, talk elf. Let's just forget this awkwardness. The elf is impressed by your friendliness and responds by handing you an elegant little ring. I've had my eye on you, Sir Graham. Methinks you might enjoy this little trinket. For just a wee bit of time, it has the power to make ye invisible. May it give ye as much entertainment as ye have given me this day. With that, the elf vanishes. Alright, and so our little elf buddy disappears, and I tried my best to put on the weirdest, like, Scottish, Irish accent that I can. And before I go any further, we're going to save, because I've got the sinking sensation that I'm not going to die there. I've tried to walk by there before, and have accidentally fallen to my death, and whereas, you know what? I'm going to show you guys what happens when we die here. And we'll probably call the video after this. But let's go ahead and press forward and... Your attempt at cliff diving was a smashing failure. Alright guys, so this is our first episode of King's Quest 1. In the next episode, we may gather one of the items that we've been looking for, but we'll just see what happens. Anyway, this has been the Moo, and this has been King's Quest 1, and we'll see you then. Later. All you've got to do is practice.